I feel like I use AI in a very unique way, and whenever I share how I use AI with other people, it seems like it unlocks something in their brain. They feel like they discovered a new superpower. They feel like they can do almost anything. They can build the business faster, they can learn new skills faster, they can understand topics faster. They can effectively get ahead of 99% of people who use AI because most people treat AI as a slot machine rather than something you can program to do exactly what you want it to. AI is a cool new way to ask questions and get answers. It's the new Google search, so to say, but most people stop there. They don't see the power under the hood. AI was supposed to be this life-changing thing. There was so much hype around it. There were people fighting on both sides, and now it seems like that's kind of died off. And if you were to ask someone like, hey, has AI changed your life to any reasonable extent? Some people would say yes. A certain amount of people would say yes, but I would argue that the majority of people, the average person, would say no. Now, I've only talked about my process a handful of times in public. I went on a podcast and people really like that, but I've never really gone in detail. I've never really created like a full course, so to say, of my entire process with multiple examples. So that's why I want to create this video, is I want an immediately actionable guide on how to use AI in an incredible way. And when I say AI here, I mean LLMs. I mean like a chat box. I mean, you can do this in your average everyday ChatGPT or Claude. You don't need anything special. We're not doing anything with video or graphics. We're just using text. First, I'm going to show you my little secret. This is something that I use all the time. We're going to cover that first. And hopefully that section is enough to kind of blow your mind to be like, oh, okay, I get AI now. And that's going to take a bit, but I promise if you stick through it, this is a learning type video. You're going to have to take notes. You're going to have to sit down and actually watch this. So if you don't have the time to right now, I want you to hit watch later so that you remember to watch it later. And then after that section, I'm going to go over a few examples and kind of just run through them. And if you follow along, you'll be able to have this little library of prompts for business, for creative thinking, for intellectual thinking, for content creation, and really anything else you want to do. So on to the first section. We're going to call this How to Do Anything with AI. And you can see here, I have this nice little canvas, and we're just going to walk through all of this. Now, this is the most important part. If you actually follow and understand all of this process, this is how you go from AI slop to imposing your own sense of taste on the AI. Now, to do this well, you need to think of AI as this sort of digital employee that will do exactly what you tell it to do. Meaning, if you don't know how to do the thing that you're trying to do well, or you don't know how to guide the AI to finding how to do it well, then it probably won't do well and you're going to be disappointed with the output. And then you're going to resort back to the slot machine style guessing game. Because that's the exact thing. If you don't tell it exactly what you want, the LLM has to guess what you want. And in order to do that, it pulls from this onslaught of mediocre methods that are all over the internet. And it may spit out something that's slightly good, but not good enough to get outsized results because anyone can do that. Anyone can type into AI. So how do you use it differently that allows you to get ahead of other people using it? In other words, you can't rely on how the AI is programmed by default, because think of it, the AI, ChatGPT, Claude, it's packaged up, it's tuned, it's given a personality for the average individual. I hope that you're not an average individual and you don't have the mind of an average individual, because that's what consumer products do. They dumb it down so that it can be useful and sycophantic and make you feel good for using it and give you your cheap little dopamine hits so you keep coming back to the slot machine. We don't want to use it like that. Now, here's an example. If I were to just type generate a viral YouTube script on the topic of productivity into ChatGPT, which I did here, it'll come up with something and it's okay, but is it anywhere near the best? Is this something that you'd watch on like a YouTube channel with 1 million subscribers? No. Length 4 to 6 minutes. We're already off to a bad start there because one, you're in the decision of that. If you just go with 4 to 6 minutes because this script told you to, like, you don't know what you're doing. That doesn't automatically lead to high views and engagement. Tone, fast, energetic, highly shareable. What if that's not your personality? Cold open. Okay, what if you don't want to add custom B-roll? What if you don't want to add B-roll at all? What if you just want to talk to the camera? What if you want to use your phone? What if this isn't even a topic that you're an expert in or even have any knowledge in? When you think of Ali Abdaal or Alex Hormozi, or really anyone that you follow on YouTube, you understand that they don't have the exact same videos. Over time, they have cultivated and created their own frameworks and methods that made their videos do well and stand out next to each other. They all have their own ideas and their speaking style and their personality and their little quirks that people get to know them for. They have their own brand style and therefore presentation style in the actual video itself. So is there any one best way to coming up with a YouTube script? No. In other words, if you just ask ChatGPT to generate a viral YouTube script for you, it's not going to work. That's not a long-term strategy. And you're not learning anything. You're just reciting what this box told you to do. The AI doesn't have any of your specific context or instructions on what to do. If you were to take Alex Hormozi and Ali Abdaal and give them ChatGPT, they would tell it exactly what to do to match their style, and then it probably still wouldn't be up to par, so they'd redo it over and over again until it gets close enough to being useful. That's what we're trying to do here. So in order to get AI to do something well in a high quality way, you need to teach the AI exactly how you would create the YouTube video. At that point, it's not randomly generated slop. It's an employee that's acting on your instruction and learning as you refine the process by correcting mistakes. In other words, you're going to be writing 500 to 2,000 word prompts, not one sentence, not one paragraph, like you see all over the internet of like, oh, here, steal this prompt. Sure, some of those can be helpful. But the shorter the prompt, the more guessing the AI has to do. The more of your agency you outsource to the agent. And the more the output increases on the slop spectrum. But all of that still leaves a big problem. What if you don't know how to do what you're trying to do with AI? What if you can't just write 500 to 2,000 words as a prompt because you don't know specifically what to tell the AI to do? What if you haven't already created hundreds of YouTube videos or thousands of YouTube videos, leading to you becoming an expert and actually knowing what your method or process is? So let's start there. We're going to go over 4 different options to actually teach the AI how to do what to do. And these all can be used in different situations. It really depends. But that is step 1 as a whole, is you need to create detailed instructions for the AI. That's what we're doing here. This isn't the magic step yet, but this is the prerequisite to getting to the magic step. So creating detailed instructions. This will all make sense, I promise. So whether I want the AI to create a YouTube script or a landing page, or if I just want it to have a stimulating conversation with me, I need to instruct it on exactly what to do. So you have 4 options here. So that leads to option 1, which is to just write out the detailed instructions, right? You write them all out yourself. And the example here is the first actual prompt that I tried to create. I really put effort into this. I studied how to structure prompts a good amount, and I just wanted to see the power of AI. Could I get it to replicate my tweets, how I write? And so when I first did this, this wasn't the prompt that I wrote at first, right? My first prompt was like, hey, write a viral tweet for me. Okay, now, hey, here's actually how I write. Try emulating this with different topics. And then over time, it just started getting more and more, because I've written so many tweets, I know exactly what to do if I actually deconstruct how I write the tweets, how I think about it, how I generate ideas, how I structure certain ideas, and I need to give all of those requirements to AI. So I wrote this out. You can stop and pause and read this if you'd like, but you can see that I have a list of requirements. I have post examples like 1-sentence posts from myself, multi-line paragraph posts, and listicle posts, like bullet point style posts. And then I have the output format where I just tell it how to output for me, because otherwise it's just going to give it to me in this weird output. So here we're already controlling quite a bit, and these tweets come out pretty good when I give them a topic, but it's still generating, it's still guessing. This isn't really the best yet, but it works quite well. It doesn't cover the entire spectrum of like how my mind works when I write specific content. And most people, when they do this, they're going to give 1 or 2 examples, and then all of their tweets are just going to look the same. They're going to look homogenous, and it's going to be an easy tell that you're using AI to do this. So that leads to option number 2, which is to ask AI to create a detailed guide. And for this one, the topic has to be relatively well known. It can't have much degree of variation depending on the person, right? Like with Ali Abdaal and Alex Hormozi creating YouTube videos in a different way, you can't really do it this way. You kind of can, but you'll understand what I'm saying here. This can't require much creative thought. So if we use it for something like creating a customer avatar, that's been talked about so many different times before and it's not really variable. It's kind of obvious. There isn't a better way to create a customer avatar, kind of, sort of, but it doesn't really matter. So that's when I'm going to type in a chat, give me a detailed guide on how to create the most comprehensive customer avatar in the world. And then it does that, and it's pretty dang comprehensive. So now look, step 1 is done, right? I have a detailed list of instructions. So just keep this in mind. This is one option. So if we're creating, let's say, a prompt that helps us create a customer avatar, I have how to create the customer avatar, but then I need to turn this into a prompt that interviews me specifically to fill out all areas of the customer avatar so that it can actually generate the customer avatar for me. And then I have this super detailed customer avatar that most people don't have. And since I'm doing this with AI, I'm not just staring at this blank template where it's like a customer avatar template and I'm expected to fill in, oh, what keeps the customer up at night and what are the goals of the customer? And I have to go through Reddit and all of these other things. I'm talking to AI. So as it's asking me the questions, I can ask it, what do you think? Go and research Reddit and tell me what they are. So this speeds up your process and leads to a much more detailed part of your marketing strategy. And that's only one example. Now, option number 3 is to find an expert source of information if you don't know what to do. So when it comes to offer creation, right, you have a product and you're trying to create an offer around it. You're trying to make it more compelling. You could ask AI to create a guide on how to create a compelling offer, but we already know that Alex Hormozi is the expert on that and his methods work. So I could take his PDF, plug it into a chat, and then tell it to give me a detailed guide on how to create an offer. And then I could turn that into a prompt, which we'll learn how to do, that asks me questions and eventually spits out my offer. And now think about doing this with a landing page or actually creating a product or creating social media posts or doing something unique like what we're going to do over here, where we're going to take 2 YouTube videos on how to build a personal brand, and we're going to turn that into a personal brand coach that guides you on what your content pillars are, how to write posts, and it will grade you on the writing posts. Like, this can get pretty crazy. So before we get into that, here is the last option, which is to emulate an example you like. So whenever I'm brainstorming copywriting for a landing page, right, be it for Eden, this software, or my own digital products or another company or whatever it may be, I like to find a page that has really good copy because I could just ask AI to tell me how to create copy and it'll work. It's actually pretty good, but it's still not that unique. And it'll probably give you like this copywriting that sounds like it belongs on a ClickFunnels landing page with a countdown timer. So I want to find something unique. And this page in specific, this anti-metal page, has a really cool storytelling structure that is very attention grabbing and compelling. So what I could do is I could copy paste the content from that website into a chat and then say this: I love this landing page copy, break down the overall structure, what psychological tactics it uses, why it works, then break down each line individually, write this as if you are teaching me how to do it step by step. And then what this will do is it creates this guide on how to replicate the landing page. And then if I were to turn that into a prompt, like we're going to learn how to do right now, then I can tell it to ask me, okay, what's my product? What's my customer avatar? What are the pain points? What are all these things? It'll quiz me on everything that it needs to rewrite the landing page with that structure in my own words and with my own product, and then it spits out the landing page. Now, before we get into step 2, if you're wondering what this software is, the time has finally come. This software is called Eden, and this Canvas feature is only one of many. You can think of it as file storage. So you can paste YouTube links, you can paste Instagram reels, you can paste tweets, you can paste Substack articles, and what it does is it downloads and transcribes and auto tags all of those so that you can search for frames within them. So if I were to paste this YouTube video into there because I want to connect it to a chat and ask it questions, which you can do, and I were to search microphone, it would bring up every frame with a microphone inside of it. So if I was looking for B-roll for a YouTube video or just wanted to remember a specific part and then be able to clip that out and download it because it's file storage, then I can do that. But there's also notes, there's AI chats like normal, but you can use any model inside of here. And eventually there will be prompt items. So you can store all of your prompts in here and automatically execute them inside of a Canvas or a chat. But the thing here is that this is early access. We're only opening Eden for Black Friday weekend, so it will be slightly discounted. But if you want to get in and you're watching this video, it may be very close to that time. So go to the link in the description, either sign up for the waitlist or you can join directly if it's open and consider signing up. Now, for all of the Cortex users who wonder what's happening, you've been receiving emails, so go check your emails. But this is the next iteration of Cortex. So it's the better version of Cortex with all of the features that you've been waiting for. So now we're on to step step 2, where we're going to turn our detailed instructions into a prompt. So we have the detailed instructions to feed the AI, but we're still missing something. We're missing the personal context. So if I have the instructions on how to create a high converting landing page, how is the AI going to actually write that copy without understanding my company, my product, my customer avatar, and everything else that goes into writing compelling copy? I can't just tell it, hey, write me a good landing page for a software company. It doesn't work that way. So this is where the magic happens. And first off, you're going to save this prompt, this meta prompt, somewhere safe. Again, I'll leave a link to that in the description. And this alone will change how you use AI as a whole. So please just save this somewhere safe. This is the bread and butter. This is the secret sauce. So what this does is it is a prompt that helps you create a prompt, because most people suck at writing prompts, and prompts have a pretty predictable structure, right? So if we're writing long, complex prompts here to do something great, then it really helps to pretty much tell AI exactly how to do that. So it saves us a lot of time. So you don't need to write for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, refining the prompt over and over again. You start with this incredible first draft that you can then refine. So what I'm going to do here is a few things. First, I personally like to do most of this with Claude Opus 4.1. So you can use that in Claude. I don't really like ChatGPT at all, personally, just personal preference, but I also don't like Claude Sonnet 4.5, the newest model, because it just tells me that I can't do certain things. It doesn't allow me to be harsh. Like I say, hey, be as harsh as possible. And it's like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. I don't feel like being harsh to other people. It's like, dude, shut up and just do what I want you to do. So if you aren't using a canvas like this, you're going to quite literally just copy paste this prompt into a Claude chat. But here I'm just saying, help me create a prompt using the meta prompt. It read the meta prompt. And now what it says next is, what is the topic or role of the prompt you want to create? Share any details you have. Gives me some examples. Now, what I need is the instructions. I need the expert instructions for how to do what we're trying to do. And here we're trying to create a personal brand coach. So I have 2 videos here. I'm actually only going to use one. This is a 6-hour long video. I love this video. Go watch it, by Caleb Ralston. But here we have a shorter video, and we're just going to use this as an example because I don't want to clog up the context. I don't want to waste your time. So we're going to go to, let's say, Claude 4.1 again, and we're going to say this. So I said, I want you to give me an extremely detailed step-by-step guide on how to build a personal brand in 30 days. You are the expert here. Give me the necessary education and steps. So when I write these out, when I'm trying to get the AI to break down the instructions of an expert source like a YouTube video or a PDF or even a website, I tend to write something like this. And another thing is that if you're trying to do this with a YouTube video, you can't really do that in any other app. So inside of Eden here, you can just click paste a link, paste it in, or if you're in a canvas, you can just press Command or Control V and it'll paste the YouTube video in, but you have to wait for it to be downloaded, transcribed, etc. And so I sent that, it read the YouTube video transcript, and then it started creating the expert level instructions, pretty much summarizing the video, but in the form of an actionable guide. And so here it just breaks down day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, etc., etc. I believe it's still going, writing out each day, right? So now what we're going to do is, one, we'll wait for this to go, but we're going to take the expert instructions and put it into a new chat where the prompt is. Because what we're trying to do is we're creating a prompt with the expert instructions. So if you're doing this just in a regular chat, you're going to send the meta prompt, and then you're going to get the expert instructions. So whether that be for creating a landing page or creating an offer or creating a customer avatar, and then you're going to take those expert instructions, either paste it into a note or just be able to copy paste it into here so that you can reference it. And you're going to include that with your instructions to actually create the prompt. So here I wrote this little prompt, which is, I want to create a prompt that coaches me through building a personal brand for 30 days. You will execute this in 3 phases. This is how I like to create prompts, is I like to break them down into phases, and this does require some thinking. So phase 1 is context gathering. So break down everything you need from me in order to best build a personal brand. And that's important because otherwise, like, how is it going to know how to coach me best? This is usually the first phase in any prompt you create, is you need to tell it to get the context for you. You tell it to get everything it needs in order to best do what it's trying to do. And then interview me to gather all of that information and ask one question at a time. Then phase 2 is the action plan. So I'm just telling it like, hey, output the 30-day action plan based on what I told you. And then phase 3 is the coaching. So after that, it's going to just coach me one day at a time. It's probably going to say like, okay, we're starting day 1. Here's what you're going to do. Please let me know if you need any help. And that's incredible. I know of softwares out there that are literally personal brand coaches, right? They take an AI chat and they put a prompt like this in there that coaches you on how to build a personal brand, and they charge $30 to $50 a month. So if you can simply create a prompt around this, put it behind a paywall for $10 and sell it, a lot of people will buy that. Understanding this skill alone, just how to create prompts and selling the prompts, you can make a lot of money doing that. All right, so I connected the expert instructions that came out here to the prompt that we're going to create. And you would just copy paste this if you're not using a canvas like this. And then I can take this, pop it in here, and hit send. All right, so that spit out the prompt, right? 30-day personal brand coach prompt with the 5 pillars system from here, the 5 pillars framework. And I mean, you can read through this if you want, but it just has all of the phases. Phase 1, it asks a bunch of questions. Phase 2, here's what you're going to do. Pillar 3, pillar 4, all of those things. Now, I'm not going to go entirely through this prompt, but if I wanted to, I could branch out another chat and I could just say like, help me build a personal brand. And so then what that does is it takes the prompt. What you would do is you would copy paste this prompt into a new chat and it would say something like this. Let's begin your personal brand journey. Question 1 of 15. Then you answer the questions and it guides you through it. And then it creates the personal brand strategy and coaches you every day. Okay, so we got the entire process down and you can use that for almost anything. Just get creative with it. But in order to do that, I'm going to show you a few examples that I feel like are the most life-changing, or I guess the most helpful. But in review, here's how you use AI better than 99% of people. First, you use AI to create or extract detailed expert-level instructions. You do not allow the AI to guess what it should do. You create a new chat and send the meta prompt. And you give details about what prompt you want to create. You add a context gathering phase if needed and an execution phase. And then you paste the instructions into the prompt and tell it what you want. In essence, when you use AI this way, you are using AI to both learn and build at the same time, and that's incredible. You are orchestrating. You're not guessing anymore. You are in as much control as you can be with AI. And if you're already skilled at what you're trying to accomplish, you can do what you were already going to do, but faster and potentially at a higher quality because you can iterate through drafts faster. Now, I want you to think of this as documenting your own processes with AI. So imagine if you built this prompt library. This is actually what I have, is I have a list of prompts that I use for specific things, like creating a coach, creating an advisor, creating a thought partner, being able to write landing pages, being able to do research. And by doing this, I think that you bring yourself to a higher level of thinking rather than a lower level. You can refine and iterate on your processes in a tangible way. Like it's literally like having a list of instructions as a prompt that you can change as you get better. And by doing this also, you reduce your cognitive load of just storing all of that in your head. So example 1 was actually just creating the personal brand coach. But example 2 is an intellectual sparring partner, because personally, I don't like just asking the base AI questions, right? When I'm trying to acquire deep knowledge, I know that the AI isn't going to give that to me unless I instruct it to, but even then it's still guessing and giving me random things. And if your mind takes the shape of those that you learn from, I personally want to learn from these very high-level thinkers. And for me, a few people come to mind like Naval Ravikant, Daniel Schmachtenberger, Krishnamurti, and Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. Now, I could do more, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take each of these people and I'm going to write this prompt in it. So I want you to break down the entire worldview of the person, his core principles, how he thinks through problems, his main discoveries or insights, and all of the ideas that best illustrate his philosophy. This should be a comprehensive document as if I am diving into the entirety of his mind. So I'm going to go and paste this into each of these chats and break it down. And for this, you should probably enable web search so that it can look through articles and other things that summarize a lot of the principles and worldviews of these people. Another thing I could do is I could take a podcast from them and I could talk to that podcast if it overviews their worldview quite well. So I broke those down in each of their AI chats, and if you're just using a separate chat, you can just copy paste all of the responses, so all of the people's worldviews into separate notes or something of that nature, or you can go to like a ChatGPT project or a Claude project, and you can paste all of them inside of there, and then you can start a chat with that specifically. But in here, now I can just ask any question or problem, or get perspective on a problem that I'm having in my life or maybe my business. So I'll try one of those. So here I wrote, I'm struggling with how I should best manage projects for a software company with a small team. Can you give me perspective on how I can best do this? Just a little question. Goes through the meta problem perspective from Daniel Schmachtenberger, leverage and long-term games approach, play long-term games, flow state design, pretty cool, awareness-based approach, practical synthesis. And it just gives me some cool things to do. And of course, I could ask much more specific questions than I did here, but I think you get the point. So now example number 3 will be a creative thought partner prompt, because thinking, in my opinion, is not just a random process. There are good ways to think and bad ways to think. Successful writers, creators, filmmakers, and other successful people have soft processes for how they think best, and it usually involves questioning their thoughts or ideas in a very specific way. For myself, whenever I write, I tend to cycle through the same questions when I'm filling out an outline. So things like, what's the big problem relating to the topic? What's the consequential cascade of not solving the problem? What's the ideal life I want to inspire people to move toward? What are novel concepts, perspectives, or personal experiences that shine an interesting light on this topic? Without using someone else's advice, what is an effective step-by-step process to overcoming the problem and moving toward the ideal life? What are compelling quotes, anecdotes, studies, or statistics that add to the argument that I'm trying to make? And by answering those, I usually have a pretty compelling brain dump of ideas that I can then use to go and write. Now, I don't do this all the time. Most of the time, I just do it in my head. But if you are worried about having AI do all of the writing for you, then I would try this out. So what we're going to do here is what we've already done. I have a YouTube video on first principles thinking. So that's just one way to think out of many. You can find many different ways to think. Just look up a YouTube video on how to think intelligently or like a genius, or you can take a YouTube video from Daniel Schmachtenberger or Naval and ask it to break down how they think through things. And you'll typically come to something pretty cool. And then you'll have a guide on how they think. And by reading that guide, you're learning more than you would by just watching the video. All right, so here's what I sent, and then it's breaking down a guide to thinking from first principles, right? But the thing is most people can watch these videos, most people can get this guide, but then they still don't practice it. They don't practice thinking from first principles, right? So how are you going to lock that in as a mental habit if you don't actually practice it? Well, creating a prompt out of it is a way to practice it. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to send the meta prompt, and then we'll create a prompt from it. All right, so you can act as if I sent the meta prompt to a new chat, and now it's here. And then I'm going to send this to guide it on what kind of prompt I want to create. So now I'll need to connect this to here, and I'll send, I want to create a prompt that helps me arrive at clear, novel insights through first principles questioning according to the attached guide. I want you to act as purely observational, clear eyes that does not give me the exact answer, but guides me to it. So this is a unique way of creating this prompt because I'm telling it not to give me the answer. I want it to help me think, not do the thinking for me. First, you will ask what topic, idea, or problem I want to discuss. Then you will ask one question at a time, following the thinking instructions. Please ask clarifying questions before creating the prompt so that it comes out the best it can. Now, this last sentence, this is something I like to do when I'm creating prompts because then it asks me questions that will lead to a better prompt. Okay, so it asks a few clarifying questions like the depth of questioning style, response format, scaffolding level, domain flexibility, progress tracking, all of these things. And now it's writing the prompt, and here it is. Now you can copy paste this into a new chat whenever you want to think through a problem through first principles. And the more you practice this, because habit formation comes through practice, the more you form the habit of first principles thinking. Now, to go through 2 more examples, we're just going to run through these because doing it on a canvas, like you understand what we're trying to do here. So I just want to give you subtle guides so that you can do these things on your own. But this is where things get really interesting and it shows how much you can do with this. So when it comes to building, let's say, a business, especially as one person, it's not as simple as just telling an agent to do it or downloading a business software or business AI and having it do it for you. In fact, to build a business with AI, You're doing all of the same things that you normally would have done by yourself, but now you're doing it with this process. You're building a library of prompts that help you do the things you need to do in business well, like writing content, building a digital product, writing promotions, writing emails, crafting an offer, and writing landing page copy. So as I said, we're just going to run through these quick and you can do what you want with this. So for writing content, create a prompt for a personal brand strategy. Find a YouTube video that teaches it and turn it into a prompt. Create a prompt for content ideas. Paste 10 high-performing content pieces into AI and have it teach you how to replicate them. Create a prompt for newsletters. Paste 2 to 3 newsletters you like and have AI break down their structure. Of course, I don't personally recommend having AI write for you, so consider creating a prompt that guides you through the process or coaches you through the process like we created instead of telling it to write the thing for you. Now for building a digital product, preferably have an idea for a product you already want to build. Ask AI how those products are structured and how to build them in a way that ensures the buyer uses and benefits the most from the product. Create a prompt that guides you through the product creation process with the instructions from the last bullet point, section by section. Now for offer creation, create a customer avatar prompt like we discussed earlier. Create a prompt that guides you through creating a compelling offer blueprint. Ask AI how Alex Hormozy creates offers for the instructions portion, and then use the offer blueprint for any of your other marketing materials. And now you can feed that to AI when you need to provide your product information. Now for copywriting, find a respected book on copywriting like Breakthrough Advertising and/or Great Leads. Upload the PDF to AI and ask it to turn it into a detailed actionable guide. Find a landing page structure or structure of whatever type of promotion you are trying to create, be it email or social promotion, paste it into AI and have it break down why it works. Add both this structure breakdown and copywriting guide to AI and create a prompt that interviews you for your offer, customer avatar, and other contexts to write the copy. So that's 4 or 5 prompts that allow you to build a business. And you don't need to spend so much time learning the skills before you actually start building the business. You learn and do at the same time. Now, the last example here is just the YouTube workflow. So if you want to be a YouTuber or you just want to learn how to do this in a more creative way, how to do the AI stuff in a more creative way, listen to this because it makes sense. Because when you think of using AI for YouTube, you're kind of thinking like, oh, okay, how do I have it create the entire video for me? That's not what we're trying to do. To create a YouTube video, you need a compelling title. After that, you need the key points, a gripping introduction, a full script, B-roll ideas, the video description, and then potentially a coach that walks you through the video creation process. All 7 of those things can be turned into prompts. And each time you go to create a YouTube video, you can run through each one and your YouTube videos are going to see a notable increase in quality. Now, again, for the sake of brevity, we're just going to run through bullet points here and you can try to practice and do this on your own. So for the title prompt, find 5 to 10 accounts in your niche, filter their videos by most popular, copy 10 to 20 titles into AI and ask it to break them down into instructions on how to replicate them. Then you turn those instructions into a prompt that ingests your video topic idea and spits out potential titles for it. Now the key points prompt, ask AI to create a guide on how to outline a YouTube video topic into compelling key points that keep the viewer engaged while ensuring that the video is novel and valuable. For the introduction prompt, find a YouTube video that teaches how to create a good video introduction, turn that into instructions, and turn those into a prompt. For the script video, find a YouTube video that teaches how to create a good script, or find a video script you want to emulate and have AI turn it into a guide, and then turn that guide into a prompt that gathers your topic, key points, and intro as context. Then the B-roll ideas prompt. Ask the AI for B-roll and retention best practices as instructions, turn that into a prompt that adds B-roll ideas for each line of your script, feed that prompt into each individual section of your script. Now in Eden, the software I was talking about that's going to be open for Black Friday only until we close it and then relaunch it when we're ready with the desktop app, mobile app, all of that stuff. It is kind of like a file storage. Any video, like your YouTube video that you upload to it, will be automatically auto-tagged, transcribed, and all of the frames will be analyzed. So you can add it to a canvas or just reference it in an AI chat and be like, hey, give me B-roll ideas for each line of this video, and it will. And then you can pass that off to your editor or have them in the workspace for you. It's a pretty cool tool, if I do say so myself. Now for the video description prompt, you paste the meta prompt first and you ask it to create a prompt with 3 sections. A keyword-friendly brief description of the video, your links, so write out what your links are that you would include in the description, and video chapters with exact timestamps that are attention-grabbing and keyword-friendly. So now you're off to recording a YouTube video like a pro in a day rather than 6 months. So hopefully all of that was helpful. This is what I wish I knew when I had first started learning AI. So let me know if this helps you at all. If you want more tips on how to use AI or writing or anything skill acquisition related, join my newsletter. It's free. A lot of people have been liking it lately. And just check out links in the description for everything mentioned in this video. Like, subscribe while you're here. Thank you again for watching. Bye.